When Eliana was 5 years old, we had this custom before bedtime to check out very peculiar records in the Guinness World of Records, such as which human being has the longest nails, the longest beard, the longest hair, who is the tallest, and also, inevitably, we're curious, who is the oldest person in the world? And it is always the case that the oldest person in the world is a woman, but the oldest man in the world in 2017, when Eliana was 5, believe it or not, was Israeli. And his name was Israel, and he lived in Haifa. His full name was Israel Cristal, Israel Crystal. Israel is a precious vessel. And Eliana, like you, Israel Crystal had his bar mitzvah too. But he was a little older than you when he actually celebrated his bar mitzvah. He was 113 when he celebrated his bar mitzvah. So you can Google at your own leisure. A 113-year-old celebrates bar mitzvah in 2016, and you will see a luminous, tall man sitting down with a beautiful black kippah that he wore his entire life, enveloped in the talit with his descendants, children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. And he said that he also thinks at that moment when he's celebrating his bar mitzvah a century later, because when he was 13, World War I broke out. Israel Crystal said that he's thinking about all the people that we lost. You know, we're still at a deficit. In 1939, there were 18 million Jews in the world. Today, there are under 15 million. So Israel Crystal said, I am thinking about how many descendants came from one Jewish person. And I'm also thinking about the devastation of our loss. Israel Crystal lived in Lodz, in Poland, in his youth, in the 20s and 30s. He was married, he had 2 children, and he was in candy. He knew how to manufacture sweets, and he would sell them. And when the Nazis entered Poland, the community encouraged Israel to keep on making sweets for the community in the ghetto, and he did. And his 2 children did not make it out of the ghetto. And his wife did not make it out of Auschwitz. After the war, Israel kept the kippah on his head and he remarried. And he had 2 children. And he moved to Israel, as I said, to Haifa in the 1950s. And he reopened his candy store in Israel. When I think about Israel Crystal, I think about the unshakable spirit of our people. I think about the resilience of my own family, of Eliana's family, from Nazi Germany and Poland and Russia to Israel to the United States. On Friday night, we welcome in Shabbat with Lecha Dodi, with the liturgy of the 16th century Sephardic Kabbalist, Rabbi Shlomo Halevi Al-Kabetz, who writes to us, borrowing from Isaiah, Hitna'ari me'afar kumi, rise up from the ashes. Rav lach shevet be'emek habacha. For too long our people have dwelled in the valley of tears. Eliana, you blew us all away today with your posture, with your talents, with your humility, with the gift that you are. Eliana, you chanted the eternal song of our people from the Torah and from the prophets. And I want to share with the community 5 words that you sang for us as we near the 2nd anniversary of October 7th. Eliana sang for us, Lo ishama od Hamas be'artzech. Hamas shall no longer be heard in your land. In biblical Hebrew, Hamas means ferocious violence. This is our prayer for Israel, for the Palestinians, for the entire world, that Hamas shall no longer be echoed in the world as a viable military and political force. But on a better note, I want to share with you something, Eliana, on behalf of your mother and myself and all your family and all your friends. I'm almost half a century old, and I figured out that Israel Crystal cracked the code. Israel Crystal is teaching us, the oldest Jew who ever lived, who passed away several weeks short of being 114, what life is all about. So if you want to know, fasten your seatbelts. Israel Crystal is teaching us that life is about accumulating assets for yourself and for your family. Monetary assets, intellectual assets, spiritual assets. You want to empower yourself with assets on all levels. And then you want to sweeten the lives of others. That's what I wish you, Eliana, and all your wonderful friends, that you should empower yourselves and grow in soul and accumulate assets and make your family and your community and your people proud, and you sweeten the lives of others.